Hi there guys, and welcome to the Cosplay Corner. I know it's been quite some time since I did my original Kunimitsu mask video, and there will be a video on the actual costume itself. I haven't forgotten about it, I just haven't really had a chance. It requires a little bit more thought and planning as to how to explain, because it's an actual costume rather than a mask, which is fairly easy to explain. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. Today we are going to learn how to make Judge Dredd badge. I must stress this is going to be the version from the new 2013 film, not the older one with Sylvester Stallone. So just keep that in mind when you're watching this video later on. Anyway, there will be a couple of sources for this excuse me, this guide in the description, one of which is a link which is actually technically a guide of how to make in Photoshop, but one of the pictures was particularly helpful in helping me get the design and so forth. So I don't actually have the badge right here because it was actually a present for a friend, so I'm going to be showing you pictures of the finished product on screen right about now, so you can get an idea of what it's going to look like when it's actually finished. So how do you start? Well, I'm going, as I said, going to link the image that I used as a guide for all of this. And once you have the image, you can either have it on your screen, open in Windows Photo Viewer or whatever, or you can have it printed out entirely down to you. I did it all with it just on the screen, so you don't need to print it out, but if you prefer, you can, just saying. So, you've got that image. Now what you want to do is get your card. Thin card, doesn't matter. I had some old coloured card laying around from an old cosplay, so I just used that. Literally pressed it up against the screen and just traced around it on the image to get the basic shape, essentially. So once that's done, cut that out, and now you want to get your craft foam, preferably yellow craft foam, but if you can't get yellow, at least get white. It'll make it a lot easier to paint if you get yellow, but white will still work. Don't get any dark colours like black or blue, because they will make your life a little bit harder than it needs to be. So if you can get your hands on some yellow or white, then that's preferable. So obviously you place your little template with the card on the craft foam, draw around it and cut it out. So you want to put that to the side for the moment, but keep your card template, we're going to need that for a little bit longer still. Next you want some foam board. So you've got your foam board, put it down on your work surface and use your template again, draw around the shape. Now here is where you have something, you need to get a craft knife. I'm going to show you the one I used, so just give me a minute. So, a craft knife. Basically this is a precision knife is what it's called, and it's basically what it says on the tin, a very sharp pen-like blade that is good for cutting out things at precise angles and things like that. You're going to need a lot for this in this particular project, so make sure that you have that at this stage. So once you've got the line drawn out on your foam board, you're going to use your precision knife to actually cut the shape out of the foam board, and then you're going to lay it to the side again. And now what you want to do is get some sandpaper, basic fine sandpaper will do, doesn't have to be anything fancy, and just give the sides a bit of a sand, not anything too crazy, but what you'll probably have noticed when you cut the foam board is that there's sort of these little rough edges and little lumps of foam board that perhaps didn't cut cleanly and stuff like that. You want to just basically sand those away so you have a nice smooth edge with the foam board. Right, so at the moment you've got your craft foam shield and your foam board shield. Now you want to crack out your hot glue gun, and you want to just, you know, put some around the edge and a bit in the middle on the front of the foam board, and then obviously stick the craft foam to it, obviously taking care to make sure it's all lined up. If you get a little bit of overhang, that's fine. In fact, that is a good thing even, so don't worry about that too much if you get it. No need to snip it off if that does happen. So you want to get your craft foam, as I said, push it up against the screen. If you've got yellow or white, the black lines of the shield should have no problems showing through. And basically what you want to do, as you can see, there's a basic logic to how the badge works. You've got the edges, then you've got the middle. So what you want to do is do the edges first. So basically you want to trace the top part where the eagle is, and I will put images on the video so you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to explain through speaking. Once you see the image, you'll see the top of where there's a line that forms basically the top of the eagle's wings and the beak. So you want to cut that out, and again get your hot glue, a little bit of hot glue, and glue it to your craft foam. You want to ignore the inner bits of the wings for the moment. We're not going to deal with those just yet. We want to do all the craft foam stuff first. So you've got the top part with the beak and the bottom part, which is the rest of the wings. Now you want to do the actual inner shield. So basically you want to draw the top part of your rectangle following the line and the bottom part of the shield, and basically don't worry about drawing the gaps in between the bottom parts. All you want to do is draw all around the shape, and then when you get to the part where you'd normally draw the gaps, just draw a line with your pen or pencil, whatever you happen to be using. So you've got those two bits, you want to cut them out, and again glue them to your shields. And you want to be careful to keep in mind the angle of your writing where it's going to be, and if you want some help guiding that, you can get some of your card and just cut out a rectangle following the shape of the arc, basically where your name is where the name Dredd is going to be. So yeah, sorry about that. As I was saying, now we're going to move on to where the tail actually is. Now what we're going to do is similar to what we just did with the bottom half of the shield. Basically you want to follow the basic shape of the tail, including the little dips in between where the feathers should be, but you don't actually want to draw them and cut them out as separate bits. You don't want to do that. You want to draw it as a whole and cut it out as a whole. So once you've got all that sorted, obviously glue it all on, and now you can see your shield is starting to take shape. Obviously the main thing that we are missing at the moment, aside from the letters for the name of course, is the inner part of the wings. Now we're going to do this with your card, and the reason behind this is simply because if you look at some of the pictures of the actual, sorry, the camera's a little bit out of focus there, let me just sort that out for you. And there we go. Anyway, if you look at pictures of the actual shield, the outer parts with the wings and the tail and everything is more raised than the middle part, and that's why you've been doing the outer parts with craft foam the entire time, so that when you do the innards, they're going to still be having that raised look, but not as raised as the others. So basically you want to do the same thing, draw around the inner lines as one hole for each side, top and bottom, and glue them into place. Now here is where your craft knife is going to come in again. Basically what you want to do is, at the bottom part of the shield where you've got the lines in between each bit and then the long curve going round, you basically want to get your craft knife and just very gently follow the lines you drew, and this will give the illusion that they're separate when they're not, because it dips in the middle. So now we have come to the final stage of the actual creation process, and this is going to be with putting the name in the middle. And unfortunately we can't use our helpful guide for this anymore, other than to grab the lines so we know the restrictions we have to work within. Now we want to go to another image, which I will link again in the description, so you guys can use the exact same sources as me, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. And basically again, you want to get your craft foam and press it up against your screen or your printed piece of paper, whatever it happens to be. As I said, the choice is entirely down to you. And basically what you want to do is get your pen and just draw around the letters again, and of course use your craft knife to cut the letters out. And paying attention to your reference image, you want to glue each letter so that it goes Dredd like that. So once everything's dried, the base of the badge is complete, and now we want to actually move on to painting it. I used just some basic acrylic gold metallic paint, and I also used a little bit of brown acrylic as well, but we'll come to that later. For now you just want to give it 2 to 3 coats of your gold, and once that's dry, obviously set it aside for a few hours or overnight or what have you, just to make sure it's completely dry to the touch. And now you want to get your brown, and this is where you need to be a little bit careful. basically we're going to do some dry brushing. So you get a little bit of newspaper or what have you, and a paintbrush, and you get a little bit of the brown on your paintbrush, but you just brush as much of it off as possible. So you've only got the tiniest bit on your brush, and the brush is fairly dry to the touch. It's not going to be wet like you normally would be with painting. And then you want to basically just very gently brush over, following what the grain would be, which is down. And basically what you can do is, if you go a little bit too heavy, you can dry brush gold on top of it just to blend it in, and you might want to do this anyway. Again, use your judgment. If you think that the brown you've put on looks fine, you can leave it as is, but it does kind of help blend the whole thing if you get another paintbrush and dry brush gold on with the same technique that I just mentioned. And there you go, once that's dried, that is your Judge Dredd badge complete. Some of you might be wondering, well, how am I going to attach it to my costume? And I'm afraid I can't help you with that one. It entirely depends on how your costume is made, what it's made out of, and so forth. It could be any number of ways that you've made your costume. You could even just do basic Velcro or something like that, you know. I can't really give you any advice particularly on that. I mean, if someone wants to comment telling me this is what my costume is, what would you recommend? I will do my best to help, but in the video I can't really give any recommendations for that, unfortunately. Anyway, that's me done for this Cosplay Corner video. Hope you found it helpful. The Kunimitsu one will be coming soon, and I'm currently working on an Undead Jaina Proudmore cosplay, so when that is actually complete, I will be doing a tutorial on how to make Frostmourne from, of course, World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King. So keep your eyes peeled for that, as well as the Kunimitsu one and some others that I've got planned for this particular series. I want to be a bit more regular with it. And yeah, basically help you guys make awesome cosplay. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.